Recently, at a student recital attended by devout New Jerseyans, I made the bold statement that I was not a Bruce Springsteen fan.
I'm not a huge Bruce Springsteen fan.
This wildly liberating moment caused me to ask myself other tough questions, like, jazz, what's up with that? While grooves like this always made sense to my simple mind, grooves like this always seemed like the soundtrack to a fever dream. And while bragging rights for some jazz musicians are built around how big their chord vocabulary is, it's not the size of the chord that matters, but rather the sound. And some of these sound like the musical equivalent of biting into a lemon.
What do you think?
So this begs the question, what can't be turned into a jazz chord? Well, I'm here to find out, and I've recruited the help of saxophone extraordinaire and music theory expert Dan Hutchinson to make me a believer, as we ask the question, jazz chord or utter nonsense? Hey everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Jazz Chord or Utter Nonsense. I'm here with jazz man extraordinaire Dan Hutchinson, theory expert, RMC teacher, gigging musician, barbershop quartet performer. So today what we're going to do is we're going to break down a little bit of jazz theory, and Dan is going to help demystify the world of jazz for me. So the only question I have for you, Dan, is why don't I like jazz?
So, the question shouldn't really be so much why don't I like jazz? It's obvious that people who aren't the biggest fans of jazz are more drawn to other things. Obviously, you're more of a fan of more like pop and rock music, right?
Exactly.
Now, the biggest draw of pop and rock music is it's simplistic.
That's me.
Yeah. The ear is drawn to repetition. We like things that are simple, that are easy to understand, that are catchy. Let's take in C major. Very often you'll hear like C, G, A minor, F. These four chords are the gateway to every pop song ever.
Now, for simplistic folks like myself, can you walk us through a little bit of jazz theory?
So let's start out in nice simple C major. So we have our C. Pretty basic, three-note chord. There's not a lot to it. It's very shallow, very simple. So what we can do to make this a little bit prettier and make home a more desirable place to go, what we can do is we can take one of our tonic notes here, one of our C's, and move it down to B. This creates a major 7. There's a little bit of extra depth, almost a shimmer to the chord now. So we can take a whole bunch of different chords, modified pretty much the way that I just mentioned. Let's go for a 6. So in C, our 6 is A. So again, I'm just dropping that tonic to get that shimmer. Move down to maybe a 2, D. Then to the 5, and then finally to the 1. So, done all together.
Okay, Jazz Master, are you up for a challenge?
Absolutely.
Okay, now I feel like anything apparently can be turned into a jazz chord. Things that just sound completely absurd to my ear. So I'm going to put you and your theory to the test with a series of challenges. This week's challenge, our RMC students and parents are going to be helping out, so I hope you're ready.
I'm so ready. So here's the deal. Inside each one of these balloons is a little piece of paper. I don't know if you can see it, but written on the piece of paper is a note, a random note, somewhere in the chromatic scale. So what's going to happen is you're going to take turns throwing darts at these balloons, and whichever balloons pop, I'm going to then try to put them together into a chord. If I can't put them into a chord, then we're going to deem it utter nonsense. All right, not at me, not at me. It is an F sharp. Woo! Got another one. An F. Oh, these are close. Woo! G sharp. So far, we've got three notes that are very close to one another. Woo! D. Finally, something that's a little further away. Whoa! All right. And finally, E. So we've got these 5 notes: E, F, F sharp, G sharp, and D. We're gonna head over and see how much of a pain in the neck this is. So we have E, we have F, we have F sharp, we have G sharp, and we have D.
That's beautiful.
What do you think?
That's utter nonsense.
Raise your hand if you think it's a jazz chord.
No.
We got 1, 2,
Kind of.
3.
I'm just being the odds. Playing the odds.
Raise your hand if you think it's utter nonsense.
Utter nonsense.
So we've determined that this series of notes is actually a modified dominant chord. So we have an E dominant 7 with an added 9 and a flat 2. So we would call it like an E9 flat 2. This serves as a dominant, so we're going to put it into a 2-5-1-6 progression in A.